There's a sutra I want to share with you today, which, in my opinion, is one of the most quietly radical things written about the human mind. Sutra 1.33 from Maharshi Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Maitri karuna mudito upekshanam sukha dukha punya vishayanam bhavanatah chitta prasadanam. Literally translated as cultivate amity towards those who are happy, compassion towards those who are suffering, goodwill towards those who are virtuous, and benevolent indifference towards those who are not virtuous. This last part is significant. Cultivating benevolent indifference towards the difficult, towards what we will instantly judge by overlooking their faults. The result, Maharshi Patanjali says, is chitta prasadanam, a clear, settled, undisturbed mind. I want to talk about this today in relation to postpartum because this sutra, written about 2000 years ago, describes something new mothers rarely receive permission for. If you're postpartum at any stage, 6 days or 6 weeks, or even longer, I want to ask you something honestly. Have you ever had a feeling about your baby, your body, or your situation that you immediately felt ashamed of? A flash of resentment, a wish that things were different, a moment of anger towards your body, or a grief of the life that no longer exists. Maharshi Patanjali already addressed this. His instruction wasn't to suppress it or feel ashamed of it. His instruction was benevolent indifference, upeksha, a steady, non reactive presence towards the exact feelings you've been told are wrong to have. Maharshi Patanjali describes these four attitudes specifically in relation to other people. But I have been sitting with this sutra in the context of postpartum, and I think the quality of each attitude applies just as honestly to what a new mother carries inside herself. The first attitude is maitri, usually translated as friendliness or loving kindness. Amity. Maharshi Patanjali says cultivate maitri towards those who are happy. Postpartum is often a time when other people's happiness becomes very loud. A friend who is sleeping through the night, a woman on Instagram whose body has bounced back, a colleague who is thriving in a way you currently cannot imagine. The natural response when you are exhausted and overwhelmed is often something other than amity, envy, resentment, a bitter comparison that makes you feel worse because now you feel guilty for feeling envious on top of everything else. Maitri is the practice of meeting someone else's happiness with genuine amity because cultivating amity, even in small doses, protects your own mind from the corrosive effects of comparison. Swami Aranya's commentary on this sutra is clear. These attitudes aren't moral obligations imposed from outside. They are practices that settle the mind from within. Maitri is about not letting envy take residence in your own nervous system because envy is exhausting and you have nothing to spare right now. The second attitude is karuna, compassion to those who are suffering. In postpartum, the person most often suffering in your immediate vicinity is you. Karuna is usually discussed as something extended outwards, towards others in pain. But the sutra doesn't specify that the suffering being has to be someone else. Swami Aranya's commentary makes clear these attitudes are meant to pervade the practitioner's entire orientation, including towards themselves. If you are postpartum and in pain, physically healing, emotionally raw, exhausted, karuna means meeting that suffering in a way you would meet your friend's suffering, with tenderness, with the recognition that pain deserves a response, not a dismissal. Most postpartum women extend karuna to everyone except themselves. They meet their own suffering with impatience, with I should have got over this by now, with comparison to women who make it look easy. Karuna, turning towards yourself, is a part of what settles the mind. A mind at war with its own suffering that meets pain with more pain is a form of self criticism which cannot settle. Karuna interrupts that war. The third attitude is mudita, goodwill at pleasure towards someone who's embodying something worth celebrating. In postpartum, I want to widen this slightly because mudita also applies to small, ordinary moments of your own. The first time you manage to shower, the first time you laugh, really laugh since the birth, the moment where you feel a flash of competence, of I know what I'm doing, even briefly. Mudita towards yourself means noticing these moments and letting yourself feel glad about them rather than immediately discounting them. It's just a shower. I don't need to celebrate something so small. In the landscape of early postpartum, these are not small things. They are evidence. Evidence that you managed, even when it didn't feel like it. Mudita is the practice of letting that evidence register rather than dismissing it before it has a chance to settle in the mind, even slightly. The fourth attitude, and I think this matters the most for what we are discussing today, upeksha, benevolent indifference, a steady, non reactive presence towards something without needing to fix it, fight it, or be overwhelmed by it. Maharshi Patanjali specifies this attitude towards apunya, towards what is non virtuous, towards what we might judge, what doesn't fit our idea of how things should be. Resentment, grief for your old life, anger at your body, intrusive thoughts you immediately push away and have felt ashamed for ever since. These are the aparnya we have been taught to judge about ourselves. Upeksha doesn't ask you to feel differently. It asks you to meet what's already there, the resentment, the grief, the anger, every thought with benevolent indifference, without amplifying it through shame, without suppressing it through denial, just meeting it, letting it be what it is without it taking over. The shame around difficult feelings is often more destabilizing than the feelings themselves. A woman who feels a flash of resentment and spirals into, what kind of a mother am I? Is carrying two things, the original feeling and the shame about having it. Upeksha removes the second layer. The feeling can just be a feeling. It doesn't have to mean anything about who you are. Maharshi Patanjali doesn't present these as separate techniques to choose from. He presents them together as a combination that produces chitta prasadana, a settled, clear mind. Maitri and mudita are not letting comparison and dismissal corrode the sense of your own life. Karuna is about meeting suffering, including your own, with tenderness rather than criticism. Upeksha is about bringing benevolent indifference to feelings that are already hard enough rather than adding shame to them. Together, they describe a mind that isn't constantly at war with itself, not because everything is fine, but because whatever is happening is being met rather than fought. For a postpartum nervous system already under enormous physiological and emotional load, a mind that isn't also at war with itself has more capacity. In early motherhood, this capacity is everything. Here's how to hold these four attitudes in a difficult postpartum moment as an internal orientation to return to. When you notice someone else's happiness landing badly, a friend's easy baby, a body that bounced back, try even briefly, maitri. Just, I hope that's real for her, and let it go. When you notice your own suffering, the pain, the exhaustion, the rawness, try karuna. Speak to yourself in a way you'd speak to a friend in the same situation. Something closer to, this is really hard and you're doing it anyway. When something goes okay, even something tiny, try mudita. Let it register. Don't rush past it. And when a feeling arrives that you immediately judge, the resentment, the anger, the thought you wish you hadn't had, try upeksha, benevolent indifference. Just notice it. Let it be there. It doesn't need a verdict. It's a feeling in a body that is under enormous load. On Saturday, I built a full practice around these four attitudes, moving through each one in the body with breath and gentle movement. So they are not just ideas, but something you can actually feel. Whatever you felt in postpartum, the love and the resentment, the joy and the grief, the competence and the complete unraveling, all of it is allowed to be here. 2000 years old contemplative inquiry into human mind says so. I'll see you Saturday.